Hey all, here at OS Reviews. About this time last year, we checked out a really cool table lamp called the Sunset Projector lamp that is named after the warm glow and halo that it produces, and this thing kind of went viral, especially on other platforms like TikTok, for instance, but the fad has kind of died down a little bit. However, today we're taking a look at kind of the evolved version of this on steroids. I say that because there's one sun that is created by this, but now we have a floor lamp that is using the same concept, but there are actually 5 heads, so it produces a total of 5 sunsets. So it's definitely a bit extreme, but if you really like the glow as well as just the kind of soothing tone that this type of light produces, and you just wanted a version that's bigger, brighter, and can be used to stand upright, become the centerpiece of a room, this might be a version that you can consider. So anyways, this particular lamp also comes from Lamp Depot, which we've also checked out many of the other interesting lights, including the Magic Infinity Cube lamp, which by the way still remains as one of my favorite unique mood lights that I've ever reviewed. It's almost like a museum spotlight, very artistic. The one thing I will say though is on the images it makes it look like the 5 heads maybe have slightly different colors. More specifically, that 2 lights might be more of this rainbow color versus the other 3 are the more traditional yellow sunsets. But you can see that the version that we have here, in reality it's all the yellow sunset, and I almost wish that they could have incorporated maybe multicolored LED lights underneath, so it allows you to kind of choose between the color that you want, but unfortunately this is just a static light, so the color that you see here can't really be changed, which is something to keep in mind. Maybe to make it smarter, they can add a companion app, but overall the light itself is very well designed and engineered from a hardware perspective. It's all constructed out of metal, very modern looking, and then all of these arms are flexible, so you can change the angle as you please, and this is a pretty tall room light. So the entire measurement here is up to 70.9 inches tall, or 1.8 meters in terms of the height. So it's going to be almost a similar height as most doors that you may have in a house or room. Otherwise, it is using 15 watts, so still very energy efficient because of its LED nature, and lumens is up to 360 lumens, so still not the brightest in the world compared to a traditional floor lamp or a room light that is just white in terms of color. It's still more of kind of a mood light or a night light. One thing I will point out though is that this light does require a little bit of assembly. It's very easy, takes less than 2 to 3 minutes in fact, but you have to kind of screw it onto the base, and afterwards you're pretty much ready to go. And then again, everything here is totally flexible, and more specifically this is what it looks like when you first take it out of the box. Well protected in terms of all the glass bulbs are wrapped, and then you do get some quick instructions as well that tells you how to quickly put the pieces together. This is what the base looks like on the other side, so it is weighted and will prevent it from toppling over. It is very, very shiny, a mirror-like surface, so definitely a fingerprint magnet. It makes the entire thing look even more dazzling in my opinion, because it will reflect the light and just cast a super modern, clean, warm glow. There's a foam pad that then covers up the bottom base. It looks the best in my opinion when you have it onto a white wall or surface. It looks even more convincing, but even if you have a colored wall, it still is creating a pretty interesting effect, as you can see there. What I will say though is, like the original Sunset Projector lamp, the effect is a little bit more dramatic on camera, but nonetheless the adjustable nature of this light, the fact that it creates almost a natural gradient from dark to light, are all attributes which definitely make it look really attractive. As aforementioned, the base is super shiny, and otherwise there is a foot pedal as well that you can use to turn it on or off. And then the entire pole here is again constructed out of metal, then connects to all the pieces, which are pretty compact. So we can actually spin, as you can see there, freely to move it around, and this will only move this piece, whereas the other lights can all be adjusted on their own. And then furthermore, the positioning of the lights themselves in terms of the head, it's quite stiff, so holds the position very well. Same thing really extends to all of the other lights on top, as you can see in terms of their flexibility. You can also loosen up the screws a little bit if you want to further change things like the height. That is also possible. I can make this actually taller, as you can see there, this particular piece, or I can push it down on the height. Again, the angle can all be freely adjusted. So it's almost like a tree light in which these are all branches, and then here is just the glass dome. So very kind of interesting and dazzling to look at, but because of the magnification of the light, it is quite bright. So it's probably not the best idea to look directly into it. The bulbs by themselves, I will say, seem to be a little bit smaller than a regular kind of full-sized single sunset lamp, but the overall brightness is actually about the same because, again, very similar LEDs which are being used, and the effect, again, is quite similar as well. So just a little more compact to make it not quite as heavy when you are putting it onto the tree, but overall still very beautiful because of this full metal frame. And I think it looks good in pretty much any position, to be honest. You can even spin it onto the axes and twist all the lights at once and just look at how it kind of continues to shift and evolve, creating more shadows and virtual sunsets on the wall. Create just this really interesting overlapping or symmetrical patterns. Also looks pretty cool if you are shining it onto furniture in a room, spotlighting it on a flower, other objects. It can all look very dramatic. It really is a surprisingly artistic and interesting looking effect here in person. So that is more or less it as far as our hands-on review of what I like to say as the sunset projector lamp on steroids, having so many of these bulbs attached onto this one lamp, just making it even more interesting in terms of the flexibility that it provides, but using the same concept, and you just want a bigger variant, then this is definitely worth taking a closer look. You can check out more details if you're interested in links down below. As always, very unique, innovative lighting from the folks over at Lamp Depot. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.